Welcome to the Nord Show, a podcast where we sit with creators and get their thoughts on all things movies and games. I am your host, Joe Aragon. You may know me on TikTok as Cinema Joe, and I am joined today by Dean Dobbs, who will be chatting about their experience creating content, variety gaming, Star Wars, and answering some of the community questions at the very end. Dean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Like 96%, something like that, you know?
Because 96 is a really good
percentage. Yeah, the 4% is like, the maybe. Maybe something will go wrong today, Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm great.
That's good.
How are you?
I like 96%. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm really excited. I've done a lot of these episodes. Everybody's been fantastic. We've talked about a lot of great movies, but I have not had a chance to talk about Star Wars yet. And I'm a big Star Wars guy. If people are watching on the video, I'm wearing the Attack of the Clones t-shirt, so I am excited to talk Star Wars.
It is a very classy t-shirt. It's got Japanese text and everything. It's very classy. I like it.
Appreciate it. Well, before we dive in the rest of the episode, make sure to follow the Nord Show on Spotify, on Apple, subscribe to the YouTube channel. There is a link in the description of this episode to get a great deal on NordVPN, so make sure you use it. All right, let's get to it. Before we jump into Star Wars, Dean, let's get to know you more. You're a longtime content creator and streamer. So some simple questions to start us off. When did this all start? And I guess better question, why did this all start?
Why? Yeah. Wow. So I believe it started in 2005. Yeah. So or maybe a little earlier. So basically, I wanted to start making films, and it was because of a movie that I brought up with you in emails. It was because I watched Signs. And that movie, it was kind of the first sort of scary movie I was sort of brave enough to watch. And so it really impacted me. And I became obsessed with it. And then that was basically how I started getting obsessed with movies. And I remember there was a trailer for The Village that showed on TV. And I went, this looks like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. And then it said, M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. And I felt so validated. I was like, oh, my taste and my sense of, I guess film is starting to form. And then I started making, back when Google Video was a thing, before they bought YouTube and all that sort of business. I'm like, I sound like 400 years old at this point. But
it's okay. I completely understand.
My computer was like a stone tablet. It was like a whole thing.
I know. I play a lot of solitaire on the computer as well.
So we started making these like movies with my friends, and I was very much the only one out of my friendship group that wanted to do it. I kind of very much forced my friends to make these movies. And and then eventually I met this person at school called Jack Howard, who's my sort of comedy partner. Spoilers for where this is going. But he approached me and said, I want to help you do this. And I didn't really know him. He was like kind of one of the cooler kids at school. So I was kind of like, this is weird. And because obviously back then as a kid, you think in sort of very simple terms. Cooler person, they're not nice, that sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, sure, you can hold the camera, I guess, like that sort of thing. But it became very, very obvious to me that he had a real like passion for it. And immediately I was like, I love this. And so we started making our own. We decided to bite off way more than we can chew and try and make a film, like a real film. And it didn't happen. We probably filmed about an hour of quite possibly terrible stuff, but it's so bad.
Don't we all?
It's sitting on a hard drive somewhere, and I'm like, I don't think I'm brave enough to look back yet. Not that far.
That'd be such gold to pull up again, though.
Yeah, I'm just terrified. It's my ego. It's fragile enough as it is. So
very fair.
But and then we started to make some. We because we went too big. We went, okay, let's get smaller. And I had watched a TV show called The Mighty Boosh, which is a sort of I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's like a comedy duo, very surreal setting. It's originally about two zookeepers, and they go on these weird journeys. They go to the tundra. There's like it's very strange, and and like that their dynamic, I really fell in love with, and I immediately realized that me and Jack had very sort of similar personalities. There's the funny guy and there's the straight guy. So then we started to go, let's write comedy sketches. And that's what we did. And then we filmed them. And then we made this comedy sketch called Pronunciation Frustration, which is a terrible name for a YouTube video. Like nobody wants to type in pronunciation. Like, it's a
mouthful.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole sketch was essentially, I can't say the word Facebook correctly. I say Fakibook instead. And yeah, it's a whole thing. And it became like quite popular, and it was weird. It was, we hit 100 likes or whatever it was. And we were like, whoa, what in the world? And then it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And next thing we knew it, people were like stopping us in the streets and stuff to say like, it was crazy. And yeah, and it was just great because you've met not only like one of the best people I've ever worked with, but also like one of your best friends ever. And we've been like, we've been doing it for, once again, 400 years old, but we've been doing this for like 15, almost 16 years at this point.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We've been through a lot together. It's probably too much for poor 15-year-olds to go through. Like it was, terrible time to get quote unquote famous is 15. It's not a great time. So
well, you've handled it well, and this is a really good transition to the community that you've built. I recently started to follow you on Twitter, and I already in love with the community that you have on Twitter.
I'm so sorry about my tweets.
You've really done a good job.
Sorry.
No, don't need to be sorry. I love them. But you've done a really great job building this community with your partner in crime and comedy crime. What is your favorite thing about the community that you have built?
I think my favorite thing about them is that they're just as weird as we are, to be honest. And because I think it's that whole like, you kind of get what you give out, if you know what I mean. And we when we made those videos, we never thought to ourselves, what makes everyone else laugh? We were like, whatever makes us laugh is what we do. It's like we're not going to try and like appeal to people. But then and it was weird. Like there used to be something that would happen on. It was one of these first sort of creative moments where you go, because you've been saying these lines over and over again. You go, is this funny anymore? Like, is this actually funny? And it's like, no, you're just so familiar with it. You're the most familiar person with it. And the people who see it for the first time, it's completely brand new. It's fresh, And so, we just managed to attract people who thought our sense of humor was funny. And we knew that we were onto something because our mums and dad, we don't have the same parents.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I wish we were brothers. I do. We're brothers, like, in spirit.
Brothers in spirit. Exactly. Exactly. Okay.
But they don't find us funny at all. My parents don't. Still to this day, they don't laugh at what I say. And
that's funny.
Yeah, but we just realized. I guess we sort of tapped into what our generation's humor was going to be. I guess. But yeah, they're just, the community that we have, they're just weird, and I really like them. And they just.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
I think for a lot of content creators like yourself, even someone like me who's really getting into it as well, it's easy to fall victim to want to make content to appeal to everybody, and you kind of maybe alter your own personality or what you find funny because you want to please everybody. But like you said, if you really stick to what makes you laugh, you'll get an audience who finds that the same thing's funny and really align with you. So that's a really good point.
One thing I'll always remember in regards to how we approached creating stuff on the internet, in this very sense of like not really doing it for the numbers and not doing it to appeal to people and not let it affect you. We never really paid a lot of attention to sort of analytics and stuff like that. And I remember I was doing a talk to a younger generation of content creators, and it was one of the questions. They said, how do you approach analytics and stuff? And obviously so much of that these days is kind of dictated by it, which makes sense, Yeah. And I just said, I have never clicked the analytics page on YouTube. And I'm not kidding. The response was an audible gasp.
Interesting.
like it was really, it was the gasp, and I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, that was so funny.
Because I think, especially now creating content, it's so natural to click the analytics to find out the trending, or your likes, your subscriptions, your followers, all that stuff. It's a lot of self-control. I commend you for that. I'm curious, have you tried to or plan to go into other social media? Like, have you tried to get into like TikTok creation? I mean, because I feel like there's a different sphere of type of creating shorts for like things like TikTok or even like YouTube shorts. I guess is getting kind of popular now.
Yeah, I won't lie. TikTok, I just started using it, but I had this strange moment of what's the word? Because I don't think obsolete. Because that's not the word. Because it sounds too mean. Because but something about it, I remember opening it up for the first time, and it felt I was having like a digital panic attack. Like I went, "Whoa, this is so much information to take in at once." Like
it's a lot.
Scrolling it for the first time, it was like I can't get away from visuals. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was so much to take in for the first time. And then once I got my bearings, I went, "Oh, it's just it's like stories or something.
Exactly.
It never ends.
Like, it never ends. You could be on there for hours swiping. It'll never end. It'll never end.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. I'm staying up till 2 a.m. watching, I don't know, like someone, I don't know, sand a table down, that sort of stuff. Like,
so those sides for sure.
Yeah, and I was like, this is probably one of the most genius things I've ever seen. It's amazing.
Yeah, and
so I want to do it. I just need to figure out what my place is in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
because there's so much. There's so much variety. It's kind of insane.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's just I didn't know there was this many types of people on the planet.
It is.
There's so
crazy.
many of us. Yeah, there's so many of us, and we love so much stuff.
Yeah, on TikTok they always have, I guess, I don't know what you call it, different sections to it. They have movie talk where it's like all these people who love movies, and they have like comic book talk where all these people love comic books. They even have like Harry Potter talk and like all these specific niches that you could find yourself, stumbling into, so you can really tap into a specific audience. It can be very overwhelming, so I do not blame you. It's a lot to take in. I'm still learning it, and I've been on it for about a year or so.
I mean, you only a year, really? Oh, wow.
I would say I made mine closer to December 2020, I think. 2020.
Right,
a year and a half now. And I made it kind of haphazardly. I made it to go on it, hang out, and then didn't really get into it seriously until probably beginning of 2021. But it's a big world out there. It's a big world. A lot of people, like you said, a lot of people on this planet.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
This is a fun transition. Earlier, you brought up how Signs was that first movie, and then maybe inspired you to start making content. This is ultimately a podcast about movies. You've chosen Star Wars today, and like I said, I'm ecstatic that you chose Star Wars. But when we were discussing Star Wars, you chose The Last Jedi as a movie as our focus, our anchor. As we probably both know, The Last Jedi is probably the most polarizing movie out of all of the movies. A lot of people either love it or a lot of people hate it. I want to know your history with Last Jedi. When did you first see it, and your initial reactions to it, and how do you feel about all of this opinion on it?
So it's very strange. So the first time I saw The Last Jedi, I was obviously very, very excited. I really enjoyed The Force Awakens. I was very caught up in that wave of nostalgia, that sort of thing. I remember like everyone was so excited for that film. It's just, there was a feeling around it that I hadn't felt in quite a long time. And I guess it's, when someone says like, you don't know how Christmas feels like anymore when you're an adult. I was like, that's how it felt. I felt like, this is the closest thing. And I remember being so in love with it and so excited to see Luke Skywalker again, because the ending of Force Awakens is so good. Like Mark Hamill's never looked cooler, that sort of thing. It's like,
I was just saying that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was so excited to see my boy Luke again. And I was like, no matter what they do, I'm just happy to see him, that sort of thing. And so I was, that movie, it was the longest 2 years of my life waiting for that film. And I remember the first teaser trailer came out, and it ended with Luke saying it's time for the Jedi to end. And I was like, ooh, okay, where are we going with this? I was like, all right, he's grumpy and jaded. Let's go. and so I was lucky enough to be invited to the London premiere of The Last Jedi.
Awesome.
Yeah. At the Royal Albert Hall. And it was, it's all made up to look like a sort of First Order, ship and all this. And I very briefly saw Oscar Isaac, and he's not as tall as I thought, which made me feel really great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I was like, nice, get in. I was like, short kings, let's go. So,
short kings.
And and I got to take my brother to the premiere, and he's a huge Star Wars fan. Like we grew up with those, and it was like weirdly emotional, and it was great. You know, stormtroopers come out on stage. We see the cast, and unfortunately, Carrie Fisher wasn't there. But with the movie, it was strange. I was kind of like, no matter how it turns out, I'm just in a very lucky position. Like, I feel like the luckiest like Star Wars fan on the planet at the moment.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went, look, no matter how, if it is terrible, which is, you know, it's Star Wars. Like, I would argue more than half of them are kind of bad.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
And but I love them anyway. So I was like, no matter what happens. And it was, for the most part, I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that was, I've gone on a huge nostalgic sort of.
No, that was a great
there.
story. I love hearing people's experience with movies for the first time, because everybody has a different experience. Your experience is vastly different than probably 99% of the people who saw it first time, including myself. When I saw it, it was in a crowded theater in suburbia Los Angeles, and I remember I was a big Star Wars fan, but I left feeling a little disappointed with it. And then it's a movie that has grown on me every single time I've watched it, and I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times now. And now I'm a pretty big fan of it. I mean, I would go as far as rank it in my 5 favorite Star Wars projects ever. It's in my 5. But
oh, really?
I would say so now, and I think I've ranked it at number 5, but I still really love it. What do you think? Why do you think people acted so hostile towards it when it first came out? Or why is it still hated, I guess? I mean, that's such a strong word, but sometimes I think Star Wars fans can be a little harsh on their movies. Why Last Jedi? What about it do you think has caused so much uproar?
That's a crazy question, because I've spent since 2017 thinking about that, because like, honestly, I remember walking out and going, I thought that movie was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. And, you know, I went, I can't wait to see what the internet has to say about it, because I thought that was pretty good. And, you know, I'm pretty confident in my sense of taste. And then, oh boy, like, that was a long 2 years all the way up to Rise of Skywalker. That was a long 2 years. And I can't help but laugh when I think about it now. I'm like, wow, what a hell of a conversation the internet was having over this film. But I think the more I think about it is that there's essentially 3 different generations of people that have maybe for each trilogy, I guess.
Yeah, I think
that have grown up with this. Yeah, and like the storytelling's vastly different. The time they grew up was vastly different. The type of storytelling and acting and everything. It's like, it's all very, very different. So you're kind of doomed a little bit. How do you make something that appeals to all of them? Because and it's not just, I know people say ultimately these movies are for kids, but you know, I know for a fact that it isn't just kids who like this stuff. They you know, sure. And it must be really, really daunting to try and make something not only in terms of storytelling, but you know, visually and you know, and all that sort of stuff that fits with everybody's sense of what Star Wars is. It's like everyone has a different sense, and I felt like there are some obvious things with Last Jedi that I think there's some silly, goofy jokes that sort of kill the tension every once in a while, and I didn't understand the whole like the silly sort of like prank call they were doing at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, a little weird.
Yeah, a bit strange. I was General Hugs, I think he calls him or something, and I was like going, okay, all right, you know, this won't be the whole film, so this will stop eventually. So, and I think it's kind of that. It's that everyone has a different sense, and also I guess it doesn't help that it's been what was the gap between the original trilogy and this one?
You know what? I don't even know. I feel like the original trilogy, or like the sequel trilogy.
Oh, no, between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy,
or the prequel trilogy.
Oh no! Sorry. I mean, between A New Hope going all the way to The Last Jedi, like in terms of like release, must be what 20, 30 years.
New Hope is 78 or 79, 1978, 1979. So, and Last Jedi is 2017. So it's a pretty big difference in years.
Yeah. So that's the other thing I think doesn't really help is you go, well, how do you tell a story with these actors who've aged, considerably since their last appearance in that universe? It's like, I would find that a very daunting task to go, do we just tell a story in the now, or do we spend all our time doing things in the past? Because they could have done a whole flashback thing with like going, this was what Kylo Ren was like when he was a little boy, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you could easily get bogged down in that stuff. So it must have been quite a task to go. Do we tell a story in the now, or because Star Wars has never really done that before? It's never really gone, this thing happening right now, here's the past, because that's what the prequel trilogy was for.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, so yeah, and yeah, does that make sense? Like, sorry,
No,
it's such a
it makes complete sense. I mean, it's a loaded question because everybody can look at The Last Jedi and pick different things that they didn't like about it. I think a popular maybe point of contention is that some people don't like Luke's ending, which I've always been fine with and not unhappy with. Some people don't like the kind of like tone of it. Like you said, it starts off with that weird prank call and it kind of has that weird Rian Johnson vibe to it. I also like that. Some people aren't a big fan of Finn's development as a character. Kind of moves from the center of the stage in Force Awakens and kind of gets relegated to more of a side character in Last Jedi. So there's a bunch of reasons why people may not like it, but sometimes it's a little crazy to me to hear the toxicity that comes out of people from regarding the movie. But
toxicity is definitely a word for it.
Yes, I would say
so. Swamp. Like, it was awful. It just felt like really trying to move through slime like the whole time. Just going, I'm trying to enjoy the film for what it is, and they're like, no, you can't do this.
Oh, it's awful.
And I'd sit there and like, there was a. What was it? What was her name? Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose Tycho, got a little bit of not a little bit, quite a lot of hate for the film. Not her fault. She's playing a character, and she did
correct,
a great
correct.
Yeah, she did a great job. And a little part of me, when I see Star Wars fans act like this, I go, "Do you think Luke Skywalker would behave like that? Do you think Luke Skywalker would open up his phone and start like sending horrible things to people he doesn't know?"
I know. No.
And and these movies are literally, it's the archetypes of good and evil, and that sort of stuff. It's like, Star Wars is a moral tale, at its core, I guess. So it does surprise me when Star Wars fans act like Siths,
Yeah, like, it's always ironic to people who are the biggest Star Wars fans to act like the actual evil the movie's portraying.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Star Wars film out of all of them?
Oh man, it changes every day.
Oh,
but because it's hard, because on an emotional level, The Last Jedi is probably one of my favorites, because I do really like old Luke. But if I'm gonna be, it's a generic answer, but Empire it kicks ass. It's good.
It does kick ass. It does kick ass.
Oh, good. I can say ass. I didn't know. I got too excited.
Yeah, you're fine saying that. It does. I agree. I've Empire ranked number 2 on my list, but I love Empire. So it's a generic answer, but it's sometimes the right answer.
Which one's yours? Which one?
I have recently become, not recently, I've always been a big fan, but really it's, I guess, gained new heights for me. But I'm a very big fan of Rogue One. I love Rogue One a lot. So I guess I'm a sucker for heist movies, and it's kind of like a space heist movie. Love all the characters. That final Vader scene, still one of my favorite Star Wars moments as a person. Watching that in theaters was like mind blowing.
Yeah, it's got one of my favorite villains as well. Director Krennic. I really like. Is it Ben Mendelsohn? I believe.
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn. It is.
I really, really like Director Krennic, and I'm every time I'm like, come on, come back. I want to see him in like
We'll see.
I want to see him.
We never know with the Star Wars universe who comes back or who will appear. But yeah, I really like Rogue One. So I don't know how you feel about Rogue One, or where you would even have it in your.
Kind of the same, actually. I kind of walked out going like, whatever, and like certain bits, and obviously I was like, the Vader scene is great, and but it grew on me over time. It's probably one of my faves now, I think.
Okay. I guess this is a good segue. I mean, Kenobi is currently premiering as we've been recording, and as of the date of this recording, by the time this episode releases, I think Kenobi might be done with. Are you watching Kenobi, and are you enjoying it?
Am I watching Kenobi? I haven't watched anything else. Honestly, I've been watching those episodes. So just to be clear, at the moment, I'm fully with it. At the moment, okay. I am sort of, my expectations were like at my feet with Kenobi. I like Book of Boba Fett came out, and I didn't really click with that too much. I did not enjoy it, unfortunately. But don't worry, I won't get toxic about it. So, but
Yeah,
my
I'm
eyes
glad
are
you beat the
turning
Jedi.
yellow. Yeah, my eyes are turning yellow when I think about it. But so I was really worried. I went, oh no, they're gonna mess up the Kenobi show, which the chaotic sense side of me. If it ends up being bad, at least it will be funny to watch people on the internet get upset. Like, and you'll be like, no, guys, silly. Or if everyone loves it, then everyone's, it's all sunshine and rainbows. Like, great. It's what a great time to be a Star Wars fan. So I was prepared for either outcome. But so far, I think it's great so far. I'm really enjoying it.
I am as well.
I'm so in. I am so in. Are you fully caught up?
I just finished episode 3 before our recording late last night, and really, really enjoyed it. I am fully invested into Kenobi now. I think in the first 2 episodes, I was interested, and now by the third one, I'm like, I'm in. I'm ready for this. I could watch 20 more episodes of Kenobi. Sadly, I think there's only gonna be like 3 more, but
it's Disney.
They'll
be like, come on, Ewan. We got $32 million in the bank if you want it.
Yeah.
Like, it's all yours.
They'll renew it. I still haven't watched Stranger Things. I've watched a few episodes of that, which is like 11 hours of content. So I have a bunch of content to keep up and watch. But I'm fully invested in Kenobi and very excited about it. All right. We can probably talk about Star Wars all day. We're going to jump into some more. Let's take a quick ad break, and then we'll come back, and then we're going to rank some things regarding and related to Star Wars. So we'll be right back. Are you missing out on your favorite show because it's not available in your region? Trying to keep your private time private? Well, let me introduce you to NordVPN. If you're bored of US Netflix, why not take a spin on the UK? Use NordVPN, and at a click of a button, you can do just that. With 5,000 plus server options, no show is out of your reach. We all love to binge, but privacy is a big deal too. NordVPN keeps your information encrypted, so you never have to worry about your IP or location getting out. Make sure to use Dean's link in the description of the episode to get a great deal on NordVPN and support Dean's channel. All right, I hinted at this just a second ago. We're ranking some Star Wars things.
Ooh.
Big, wide universe, a lot of characters, a long time ago, galaxy far, far away. What are your 3 favorite Star Wars characters? Could be main, could be minor, could be small, could be huge. Who are your favorite characters in Star Wars?
Okay. Oh, that's tough. Number 1, it's my boy Luke Skywalker.
Okay, easy one.
Yeah, easy. I love him. He's great.
Totally allowed.
Second, hard. Okay. I'm gonna say I like Poe Dameron. I'm gonna say that.
Okay.
I have a cardboard cutout of Poe Dameron. He's right here. You can't see it. That's not a joke. I should have put it in the background so you could see it.
Oh, that's funny. It's okay though.
Yeah,
I'm watching you right now.
Yeah. Actually, now that you've said that, I can feel it in the peripherals. Poe. Obviously, I didn't really love what they ended up doing with him, but I enjoyed him. He was he looked like he enjoyed being in Star Wars. So
I think so.
And he's still in one of my favorite shots of all of Star Wars, which is in The Force Awakens. It's sort of this. It probably isn't one single take, obviously, but it's when Finn sees the X-wing, sort of messing up all the TIE fighters, and he goes, "That's one hell of a pilot." And it's just that scene where you see him doing the sort of spin in the air, takes out 2 TIE fighters, and you see Finn run into the frame, shooting a stormtrooper. It goes past him. I was like, it's just so gorgeous. It's just such a beautiful sequence. And I was like, I love Poe Dameron.
Yeah,
and
that's a good choice.
And then 3, which might be this will be a slight spoiler to maybe another question that's coming up. Dexter Jetster. Do you know who that is?
Jetster? No, I don't. I feel like a fake Star Wars fan right now. What's going on?
So Dexter Jetster, he's in Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
Do you remember when Obi-Wan goes to this American diner place? And there's
yes.
And it's like this 4-armed alien.
Coming back to me.
Yeah, there's a 4-armed alien who he's come to him to ask him about a dart. And he's
the dart that was shot. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, this is made by cloners, and that's how he ends up with the Geonosians, I think.
Oh, I did a quick Google. I know exactly who Dexter Jetster is now.
I love him purely because his name is Dexter Jetster, and he works in an American diner. Like, it's the most un-Star Warsy place. So yeah, I just love him. I think he's funny. So,
interesting. Yeah. No Siths on your list. No Darth Maul. No Kylo. No Dooku.
I mean, I do really like Kylo. I've always enjoyed Kylo. Palpatine, man, if Palpatine had come to mind, he might have taken over Luke's spot, actually.
Wow,
Palpatine, really? Yeah, Palpatine just makes me, once again, it is purely like, if I just enjoy them, it's like, Palpatine, he just loves being evil.
He does love being evil.
He loves it so much, and I love it for him. Like, he's an incredibly toxic person, and he's not ashamed of it. Like,
not ashamed of it at all. Have you dabbled in any of the games at all? Have you played like Fallen Order or anything? I guess the Lego games are just rehashes of the main series, which are a lot of fun. But I'm curious if you ever dabbled in like Fallen Order or like the older stuff.
Yeah, so the first Star Wars video game I played was a PC Monopoly game. It was weird, right? But that was my first. Yeah. C-3PO was like, he sort of talks over the game as you're playing and stuff. So weird. But that was my first Star Wars game.
Do you remember what like the boardwalk or like the really expensive piece was, or like the land? Because there's always like two expensive pieces or lands on Monopoly. I'm just curious if you remember what the Star Wars version would that
I remember you could buy the Death Star.
Maybe it's the Death Star. That would make sense.
Surely that's got to be the most expensive thing, right?
Yeah.
So and then the second game, well, at least the one I can remember, Rogue Squadron on the GameCube.
Oh man, what a flashback!
Incredible game, incredible.
I used to rent that at Blockbuster.
Same. That's how we played it. We never bought it. We rented it at Blockbuster. Yeah. And then obviously I'm quite at the moment I'm streaming Jedi Fallen Order for the second time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I really like Fallen Order. I remember them revealing Cal Kestis, and I kind of went, of all, like, there's 20 million species in the galaxy far, far away, and we're just playing this white dude. I was like, okay.
I know.
I was like, sure. But, big fat slice of humble pie or whatever the Star Wars equivalent is, I do like his character quite a lot now.
You know what? I feel like I had that exact same reaction, and I'm also playing it for the first time currently. I'm not that far into it. I'm maybe like 20% the way through, but I'm also finding myself really enjoying it and liking the character a lot. So I can echo that sentiment completely.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, especially because people keep telling me like, "Oh, you should play it because who knows if Cal Kestis shows up in the show." So I need to play it to feel like I can at least understand it.
Oh man, I don't know what I'd do. It'd be weird because I know he's an actor in real life.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I didn't know him until I saw Fallen Order. So when I found out he was a real person, I had this like, it was kind of like the opposite of the Uncanny Valley. Like I kind of went, oh God, what's that? So I'm used to it now, but it felt very strange.
It is strange because I think the actor is really famous for his role in the Gotham show, which is like a spin-off of Batman. I could be totally wrong, but I'm fairly confident.
No, I think you're totally right. Actually, that's really weirded me out. Why have I never clocked that before?
Yeah, he's. I think he might do a Joker iteration that's on that show. But it is eerie to see him in real life and then see the character in the video game for sure.
Yeah, I fully perceived him as not real. So I was like, is it animatronic?
That's amazing because I felt the same way. Before we get to some questions from Twitter, I just very quickly want to know, and I think listeners want to know as well, we've talked Star Wars for the last 25 minutes or so. Any movies you love outside of Star Wars? What are some movies that you just like, you really love, that people may be surprised you really love, since, we talked about Star Wars for 20 minutes?
Well, I'm going to bring one up because I think I told you, I had a bit of a nosy on your sort of letterboxd and stuff like that. And obviously on TikTok. And I watched one where I think the question was movies that you think are great, but people don't. And one came up and I was like, my boy, like I was like, yes, Tron Legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a recent tattoo of Tron Legacy on my arm right here.
Oh, really?
Light disc here, and people watching.
Damn.
So I am.
Well, it looks very nice.
Yeah, I love it. Tron Legacy fan. Yeah,
I love that movie, and I always felt so alone in it. Like, because
Oh,
I was like, why does no one care about this?
you
Like,
found a friend.
yes. I always remember uh, uh, Flynn. Is that it? Yeah.
Yep, Flynn.
He says one of my favorite lines is when he's talking about I can't remember what they're called now. The what Olivia Wilde is in the movie.
Oh, yeah, I always forget what they're called too.
It's got a very like sort of
Yeah, it has like a
generic
sci-fi
name.
word for it. I can't remember it right now.
But when he's describing what they are, he describes it as biodigital jazz. And it's always stuck with me. It's like an iconic line that I don't think anyone else cares about.
It's a good callback. Deep cut. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. But Tron Legacy, yeah, I don't think that movie gets enough love. And I'm hoping the passage of time, people will click on and maybe you'll get a little cult
I think
following.
it has a pretty strong cult following. I think if you look it up, it's like Tron Legacy is a cult film. So it has its very passionate fans, despite its lack of critical praise. So, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah, the critics don't know anything, I'm kidding.
Sometimes they don't. Don't. Anything else? Anything else that you really love that you watch a lot or you rewatch a lot?
Well, The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh,
I adore that film. I know it's got the sort of like Hot Topic emo sort of connection thing, but
I get the vibe we're the same age. So I remember going through middle school, high school when that was all the craze, and I felt like everybody had the same sweaters and the same wristbands, and oh man, I remember that so well. I don't know if Hot Topic's still pushing Nightmare Before Christmas as they used to, but it was like their staple for a long time.
Yeah, it's like they still sell stuff now. Like, I mean, not in Hot Topic. There's a British equivalent, but called Blue Banana. But I still walk in for like memory's sake because I don't really like wear that sort of stuff anymore. But I go in as a nostalgic thing, and I've turned into the weird customer. Do you know what I mean? Like when there's someone's like grandma goes in and like, what are they doing here? They're here to buy something for someone else. That's what I've turned into when I go in those shops. But I still see Jack Skellington like bags and things like that, and
still very popular.
Yeah, my sister is still one of them. She adores it. She literally bought herself a backpack with Jack Skellington on it. It's covered in stripes and things like that. Night Before Christmas. I love that film. I just remember having this very strong like effect with it because I didn't know what stop motion was. So I just remember being just completely like transfixed by white. I was like, what am I looking at? I know this is like not real, but what is it? It just looks like toys. So I just remember becoming obsessed with that and the image of Jack Skellington going down the hill, with the moon behind him. I was like, I get chills. I fell in love with that character like so much. Yeah. And then I mentioned Signs, didn't I?
Yeah, we talked about Signs very briefly, but I'm glad you did because it's one of my favorite memories in movie theaters. It's a one memory I have as well where I just remember gasping at certain scenes, being so scared and like shaking in my seat basically.
When that thing comes out of the bush, go. God, it still creeps me out now.
Me when I say like the whole theater reacted to that moment when I saw it in theaters, and I was maybe 11 or 12 when it came out, and I remember adults being like afraid of what was happening. And I feel like I tell people who are younger than me, like, this was a scary moment. No one believes me. Like it was.
Yeah. I on my Discord server for my Twitch stuff, we did a movie club and I was like, I'm going to show you Signs. And a lot of them had never seen it. And it's just so funny to see the chat go crazy when that bit happened. Like everyone was like, oh God, what? That's horrible. It's like, right. All it does is it's also because like I've watched that movie so much and like, it's the fact you can see it in the hedge even before it walks out. And that's just, it's horrible. Yeah. And, the at the beginning of that scene, it shows like the birthday cake has like been smushed and stuff. And you it's the imagination of going, what happened before they were rolling the camera?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, when did they realize that this thing was at the party? Like,
Yeah.
And like,
that's definitely the kind of thing that like helps with creating that fear. Because the whole movie, you never really see it, so you have to imagine it in your brain and imagine how people will react to it. So it's a really skillful way of playing up that fear, and it works really well. So
it's fantastic.
Glad you love it.
Yeah, anyone listening, please watch it. Like,
Yeah.
keep the flame alive.
Keep it alive. This podcast is not sponsored by M. Night Shyamalan, but it is a great movie, and we love it anyways. All right, last segment of this episode. We're going to get a couple questions from Twitter before we end. A very simple question, and I think we kind of addressed it already, but maybe you have some more to talk about. This user named Boop, pretty straightforward, asked, what was the hardest thing about becoming a content creator? Or what is the hardest part about being a content creator?
All of it. It's, yeah, I think one thing I struggled with was, and there wasn't this, I don't think this expression existed at the time, but like parasocial relationships.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
So, where a fan feels like they do know you, and which it is inherently kind of sweet, and it's. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think the genesis of it is bad, but but it can become unhealthy, and so I remember I really with vlogs and stuff. People vlogging their lives and all that. The moment I started seeing people talk about me, sort of indirectly, that sort of creeped me out. Made me worried, because I was like these people are trying to perceive me, but they don't have the full picture. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, sorry, just hit the mic. Yeah. And I kind of went, I need to be careful with this, because I don't want people to, I want them to just appreciate the work and what I do there. Like, my life is my life. And I don't like the idea of potentially hundreds of people having the wrong end of things, because I would have friends who would vlog with, one of their friends all the time. And if they, someone fell out or something, they would immediately notice. And so, the comment section would be filled like, why don't you talk to this person anymore? It's like, if you go for a breakup or something, it's like, when you hang out with someone and they go, hey, how are you and thingy? And you go, oh, we broke up. And they go, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like, it's like that. It's like mini versions of that. And so when my friends would record, I would go, nope, I'm not in the frame. I am here, but I'm not in there. And so I found that quite stressful, because I didn't want people to perceive me, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. I think you said that really eloquently, because as somebody who creates content as well, I think it's easy for people, and I think you said it really well. It usually starts off in a place of kindness and almost like a flattery. Like, they feel very connected with the person that you are, and they feel so comfortable with you that they've developed this relationship. But it can, spiral out of control and invade into a little bit of privacy. But I think it was really well said. It makes complete sense.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've had a long time to think about it.
The next question I got from Twitter, switching gears back to Star Wars, who do you prefer, Mando or Boba? From Joey.
I'm gonna say Mando. I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, Boba Fett. Like, I feel really sorry for him.
If this was pre-Mando, obviously this question wouldn't exist. But I love Boba Fett a lot. Yeah. And then Mandalorian came out, and I was like, well, there's a new bounty hunter. It's
that scene in it's either Toy Story 1 or Toy Story 2 where Andy, I think Woody's having a dream. It's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Like, that's how it felt. Yes. Like, I knew things were looking bad for Boba when slight spoilers for Book of Boba Fett, when they interrupted Book of Boba Fett to do 2 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and the 2 episodes I watched, yeah,
they were great. They were the amount of times
really good.
Yeah, like, people who like Mandalorian but don't care about Book of Boba Fett, I'd be like, guys, episodes 5 and 6 or whatever it was, just watch those. It's basically Mandalorian free, like, that's it. And they went, oh, cool. And yeah, I knew things were looking bad for Boba when they did that, and everyone was loving it. Like, the tweets and everything. Everyone was like, that was amazing. And I was like, oh, Boba, I'm so sad. I'm so sad.
Still time. I think they've renewed Book of Boba Fett, so there's still time for improvement, and still time to really develop Boba's character. So I also choose Mando, but it's not any shade to Boba. I've always loved Boba still. So. Yeah. No shade to Boba. Last question. Which underrated side character from Star Wars deserves their own spin-off series? Is this what you were referencing earlier?
Dexter Jetster. I think I want to see a Star Wars spin-off based in an American diner.
Wow.
And there's literally so Dexter Jettster's Wikipedia page is way more in depth than you would think. He participates in all sorts of shady business. He has the Star Wars equivalent of doing illegal cockfighting as a side thing. Yeah. He is a spy formerly, like things like there is so much to him. And I'd like the idea of, he has this American diner, but his past keeps creeping back up to him, that sort of thing. And I just think it's somewhat, one of those things. I don't know. There's something about that. I just go, that would be great. Also,
that's
call the show Dexter Jettster.
There you go.
Come on. That's a great title.
All right, Disney, if you're listening, hit up Dean. He has a great script ready for the Dexter
Come on,
Jettster
Kathleen.
show.
Come on, Kathleen. It makes sense. Come on.
Not me thinking you're going to choose like Qui-Gon or like a Count Dooku or something like some like big character with a cool backstory. But Dexter Jettster's the answer, and that is the answer that you should choose. I'm happy with it.
Thank you.
Well, Dean, we have reached time on our episode today, and I have to call time because it will probably end up talking for another hour if we don't.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I greatly appreciate it. I had a great time talking about Star Wars and movies with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. Thank you.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear. We'll make sure to link all of your information in the description of the episode, including that NordVPN link. And of course, make sure to follow the NordVPN on Apple, Spotify, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Dean, it was a great time. And everybody else for listening, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.